My name is Debbie, and this is my first floss tube stitching in South Jersey. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Every floss tuber does. This is really awkward. My husband always says, you could talk to a wall. I am talking to a wall, essentially, and it's awkward. So bear with me. Hopefully you'll see things you like. My taste varies, and I do like to try new things, and I am set in my ways. Sort of the generation that I'm from. So, stitching in South Jersey. South Jersey, not as in the Jersey Shore, not as in North Jersey. South Jersey. We are right outside of Philadelphia. We are considered a suburb of Philadelphia, even though we are not in the same state, and could get to Center City, Philadelphia, and the historic district of Philadelphia faster than some people who actually live within the Philadelphia county limits. So go figure, geography, right? I am a married mother of 3 grown children. I have 1 toddler grandbaby and a 9-pound Chihuahua rescue who has been with us for a year. She is 4 years old, and she was rescued out of a kill shelter in Texas by an amazing rescue here in New Jersey. Shout out to Matchdog Rescue. My husband was not ready for another dog after having dogs our entire marriage, and all of them living to old age, 18, 16 and a half. It's a long time to have dogs, and we had 5 of them over time. So, long story short, Harper is here now. She is a 9-pound Chihuahua. It is Sunday, September 29th. It is Eagles Sunday. I am in my Eagles salute to service shirt. Harper is in her jersey. My husband is on an airplane to San Diego for business, and I thought, I've been thinking about this for a long time. What better time to mess up the house than while he's gone? So here we go. A little bit about my stitching history. If you see me looking down, it's just because I have some notes to kind of help me get into this, and then we'll get to the stitching. If you don't want to listen to it, fine, no offense. Go to like the 10 or 12 minute mark probably. So my stitching history. My mother-in-law taught me to stitch. She was a gifted seamstress. She could see something and make it. Made clothes, made everything you could think of. She also cross-stitched. I don't really recall how it started because my age started with a 2 then, and I just turned 60 2 weeks ago. So memory fuzzy. I keep the important stuff and let go of the rest. Anyway, so she taught me how to cross stitch because I must have shown an interest, and I loved it. But those of you who are of my generation, you know we cross stitch one thing at a time. It was just called cross stitching. Now it's called monogamous cross stitching. It's just what we did. We didn't have the availability of patterns or designers or fabric or floss choices or any of the things that we have now. We did one thing at a time. And I did it pretty much through raising my children, just to a much lesser degree than I do it now because my children are all grown, out of the house. I'm a real estate agent, so my office is in my house, and I do put in a full day of work, but you know, at lunchtime or if things are really quiet, I might get an extra hour at the end of the day to stitch. And then sometimes at night, especially if we are watching sports or sometimes we listen to podcasts at night. We have literally become the couple that we used to laugh at. Like, oh, look how cute they are, just sitting home at night. That's us. Happy, happy. So now I'm not a monogamous stitcher and I'm not counting. All I can tell you is around me is what can only be deemed a oncoming avalanche. Hopefully not. And I have 3 big baskets of WIPs that I keep in my office to keep them out of the way. And I need a 4th basket, but I don't have room for a 4th basket. So I better get cracking, right? So this is going to be a WIP parade. And at some point, I will show you finishes, certainly as they're in season or whatever. You know, I have a lot of Christmas. I have a lot of fall, Halloween. You can see right over my shoulder, pumpkin spice, Shannon Christine. Bought the frame at Hobby Lobby, bought the little wooden gnome ornament at Hobby Lobby, and somehow managed to cobble that all together myself. Straight, pretty much. Straighter than some. Not always about straight, I'm always about finished. For the legacy pieces, for the big stuff, I have it professionally framed. I don't devote 3 years to something for me to put it in a frame crooked and not with the fabric pulled tight and whatever. But that is, it really came out adorably cute. Shannon Christine is very gifted, and I have plenty of, I have her Snow Globe series. One of those is finished, and I just don't know what to do with it yet, so it's kind of just sitting in a cabinet. But I'll show you the finishes in another video. This is going to be long enough. We're already at 7 minutes. So some disclaimers. I don't use project bags. I use Amazon mesh plastic bags. Project bags are gorgeous. I've seen some gorgeous project bags. 1, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole expense-wise. And 2, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of, I could probably make one of those. No more crafts. It might be divorce if I do. Because I also picked up crocheting a year ago. And just real quick to digress. My daughter is a captain in the Army, and she was getting deployed, and she thought she was going to be very lonely and very sad. And she said, Mom, I think I want to learn how to crochet. She never had any interest in cross stitch. She says she doesn't have the patience. She doesn't realize what a stress reliever it is to stab something 1,000 times a day. She'll figure that out. Anyway, so I said, I'll learn how to crochet. And the time change was incredibly large. So I'm like, even if I have to get up in the middle of the night to talk to you when you're done work, we'll crochet together. Sounded like a great plan. I decided I was going to go take classes, which I did, a few classes. I then decided that YouTube is a great place for tutorials. What? Who knew, right? Because my teacher at the yarn store told me that there is no difference between a right-handed crocheter and a left-handed crocheter. If you crochet, you know that's not true. I decided that I could probably learn how to crochet better from YouTube than from someone that cannot clearly see that I'm looking at everything backwards that she's doing. So that was the end of the classes. Long story short, my daughter got to her destination, and on weekends when they were free, she was not in a war zone, they would go into the big cities and whatever. She never had time to barely even talk to us, let alone to sit with me and crochet. So now I have a second hobby. She still has none. Okay, so that's enough about crochet. So no bags, flosses. Most of these projects, I'm not going to show any of the flosses unless it's something very unique that I think you should see. Not to mention that I've been, each project comes up, I've been taking them out, all the floss out of the bags and centralizing them. Some floss tuber, and I should have written the name down, said, I just keep one master set. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. Because how many, fall colors, how many 434s, 435s, 436s do you need? If you know, you know. So you won't see any flosses. I generally use the called for colors. What I change is the fabric. I change the fabric to go with the colors mostly. I will tell you if I'm using called for. I will tell you if I've changed it. I don't change entire, there's so many talented floss tubers that are like, I'm going to do this goth, or I'm going to do this, turquoise and pink Christmas or whatever. That is not me. I might change what I think needs to be changed just for me, but I don't change everything. I don't count stitches, although I did get Pattern Keeper. And while I would not call it a game changer for me, mainly because, again, started stitching in the 80s when the projects were being chiseled into stone, and paper patterns, I have a high comfort level with them. I don't really have any problems. I don't usually have any counting errors. So Pattern Keeper, I like it a lot when I can get the pattern in there. So if I buy the PDF, usually that's much easier. But I don't count the stitches. I don't set stitch goals. What I do is I spin the tiny decision wheel. I feel like that was a Pam and Steph thing way back. I heard them say it, and I love it. I just spin this little wheel. If you don't know what it is, it's an app, and it is on, you put it on your phone. You'll load in the names of all of your projects, and you spin the wheel. And I have it set on no repeat, so it never repeats a pick until the wheel is empty. So whatever comes up, and I stitch on it for a day, 2 days, a week, however long. If I'm close to something like a milestone, like page finish, big motif finish, anything like that, I stick with it. If it's just in the middle of something, could be a day, could be 2 days, could be whatever I feel like, and then I just go to the next one. I used to keep track in a book, and I'm very bad at that. I have a lot of books in my life. Like I said, I'm a real estate agent. I don't know if I said that, but I am. And I have my date book, my appointment book, and my this and my that. I got a lot of notebooks in my world because that's how I do that. That's what's best for my business. I can't put everything in my phone. I would go out of my mind. Again, generational, which is why you're not going to see any edits. I have to figure that out. But I print a calendar, and I'll show you one when we get to it. It's just like 2024, all 12 months. And when I pull the WIP, I circle the day I started, I circle the day I end it, and any days in between that I worked on it, just so that at the end of the year or the next time I pull it out, I see how much work I gave it. And that works for me because it's right in the bag with the WIP and the chart and the floss chart and all of that. Right now I'm in my kitchen. It is a very dark and gloomy day. I have these very bright overhead lights on that I never use ever. And I have the nice lights that we use every day off because they're more of a warm, glowy yellow. And these stark white LEDs, while not good for looking at yourself on camera, are probably better for looking at fabric. So this is where I am. I'm standing at my kitchen island right now, but more than likely I will change position the next time. My stitching spot is out on our porch. Our house is 100 years old. It used to be an outside porch. Someone down the line enclosed it. We put on a big addition, a second floor addition, and when we did that, we leveled out the porch and sort of incorporated it into the house, so it didn't look like it was an outside porch anymore. that had been made inside but still felt outside. 10 windows, can't beat it for light. I do have a stitching light. I do wear cheaters. I also have readers in my contact lenses, and I still wear cheaters only to stitch. I don't need them for anything else. Again, because I have the readers, you know, be like wearing bifocals if I was wearing glasses. I did not count. Did I say I didn't count? I didn't count. If you want to count, count how many WIPs. I did not count. And if I think of anything else as we go, I will let you know. But let's get started. We're 15 minutes in. I promised 10. But here we go. And in no particular order. And I'm probably going to have to pause it, put away, like so many floss tubers have to do. And hopefully I'll pick up where I left off, because I don't want to start again. This is hard enough. Okay, so first, we have Plum Street Samplers, a new constellation. I love this. I have them all. There's, I think, Heritage Sampler. There's Quality Sampler. There's a bunch of them. And this is how I keep track in this. I keep track of when I start something like this. So I make a little index card and I say when I started it. So this, I also have on the back here that I'm using Legacy Picture This Plus 28 count Lugana. I am an Ada stitcher from way back in the day. The count is getting smaller or bigger. The squares are getting smaller. I like 18. Now I found 20. Where'd that come from, right? I love 20. But I do like 28 count Lugana, especially for something like this. I mean, look at all that over one. Wow. I don't know how I feel about that. Also, no ironing. Do not iron. I do iron. I'm not ironing all of these projects. And I just recently heard that that's not really a good thing. So I'm not. They are going to stay in the Q-snap or the hoop if there's nothing else to show. If you could see everything I've stitched, I'm just leaving them because I know for you purists, that is just going to be so hard. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that my lack of ironing and leaving him in the Q-snap is probably going to be slightly traumatizing for you purists. I also won't show you the back of my projects. So, and I am an experienced stitcher. There's just certain things I don't care about, and those are things I don't care about. So, all right, anyway, a new constellation, Plum Street Samplers, started this May 21st, 2021. I love, maybe because I live right outside of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and literally could probably, in my younger days, run to the Liberty Bell and Independence Hall. I mean, it literally is probably 5 miles, 6 miles. I love history. I love anything. Colonial Williamsburg, oh, could go every year. Could go twice a year. So this is what I have done so far. So surprise, see all that blue in there? Who knew that was going to be a fill-in? I was like, wait, it doesn't say that on the chart. It does. Didn't say it, but man, does it make a difference. Gave some thought to not doing it. I'm doing it. This was the first project that I started that was actually on 28 count Lugana. So had to learn a little lesson there, but so far so good. Okay, I'm just gonna throw those back there. Next is Dimensions, Scenic Farm. This was a floss tuber too. I saw her finish and holy moly, was it amazing. Wasn't available, apparently. I started this April 18th, 2020. I actually write if we were in quarantine, if it was during the pandemic. It still gives me shivers just thinking about the lack of freedom that we had. But anyway, to each his own. But by the time I looked for it, it was back in print, and I had no problem getting it and did not have to pay an exorbitant amount of money for it. And here it is. And I am sorry, I only took out the part And this is actually, it's not showing white fabric, but the fabric is white, I think. Fabric is white. But look at that. That is before the back stitching. Dimensions, they are brilliant. Brilliant, in my opinion. Okay. Moving on. Next, Autumn Town by Autumn Lane Stitchery. Aaron and Cassandra. Brilliant, brilliant people. And Aaron is a gifted designer. I love his use of colors. This, I started October 21st, 2022, and I'm stitching it on 18 count Devosa fabric by Zweigart in antique green with the called for colors. So this, I got the called for colors and even the calls for one Gloriana silk. No, 2 Gloriana silks. And I did get those because, boy, look at the variegation right there. How amazing is that? So, how to do it. So, this is where I am. Devosa. Let me tell you a little story about Devosa. If I've never heard one floss tuber mention it. Probably should have heeded the warning. I was in a cross stitch shop and they recommended it. I was looking for that very specific green and they recommended it because it came in all these wonderful colors. It was amazing. The problem with Devosa is Ada, your floss moves within the square because instead of like in Ada, I feel like the fibers or the threads like almost cross inside each of the 4 squares, if you know what I mean. In Devosa, it only goes one way. So you may start bottom left to top right, and if you pull too hard, your bottom left ends up on your bottom right. Super annoying. Won't make that mistake again, but too far in, so moving on. I wasn't going to start again, and it is a great color. Next is Cozy Cove by Dimensions Gold Collection again. Started this June 17th, 2020. I love this. One of my unicorn charts, I saw Pam from Pam and Steph. She did Birch Point. It is gorgeous. It puts you in mind of this, but it's very expensive because it's out of print. And this is still readily available. I see this on eBay all the time. Reasonably priced, probably not more than you would have paid had you bought it originally. And this is where I am. Again, apologize for the mess. And again, without, look at that tree. Without the back stitch. Dimensions, just genius. All right, so now we're gonna have an avalanche over there. So this is what I'm working on today. I just pulled this one. This is called Amid Amish Life. This originally came out in the Cross Stitch and Country Crafts book in 3 parts. It is now in a book called 101 Best Loved Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. But it came out like this. So there's 3 of them, and they did them separately. Blitz Stitch, Brian, I saw him the first time, and he did them together, or is doing them together. I don't know if he finished it. I feel like he must have. I started this on March 11th, 2024, on 18 count Celestine by Fiber on a Whim with all the called for DMC colors. Fiber on a Whim fabric. Amazing. Amazing. I was little, you know, I was a picture this plus girl. but I gotta tell you, real easy to get, the Fiber on a Whim colors. It is the perfect color. I'll show you now. Let me just show you this book one more time. I don't know if the book, I just bought the book on Amazon. It was no problem, but the magazines are very hard to find. And there's so many cute charts in here. I mean, really cute charts. So it was worth the, I don't know what it was, $20, $27, something like that. Okay. And because I'm working on this today, it is on my lap frame. And that's all I have. But isn't that blue? That is pretty true, except you can't really see the modeling. Tell me that is not gorgeous fabric. It is gorgeous fabric. And the needle goes through it like butter, which is what we care about. All right, moving on again. This is Design Works Route 66 Christmas Diner. How amazing is that? I love it. The chart, to me, I gotta be honest with you, it's a little hard for me to read, mainly because over top of some of the stitches is where the beads or the French knots or whatever go. It makes it a little difficult to see the stitch underneath it, but once your eyes adjust to it, yeah, it must be French knots. Look at all the snow. Yeah, won't be doing French knots, possibly beads, but not French knots. One thing I never learned in 35 years of stitching. I started this on October 13th, 2020, on 16 count, picture this plus Sprite, using the called for kit colors. Oh, right. Did this come with all the colors? It did. It came as a kit. So it has all the colors in there, I think. Anyway, doesn't matter. This is where I am. And I had to restart it because, see this gray over here? Yeah, guess where I started? On the wrong page. So I was stitching this over here, how to pull it out. I don't think I was that far along then. It's okay. I don't even really remember it, so it must be okay. All right. Next. Alan Malley's Gracious Error. I know that you've probably all seen this a million times. I love this. I love this. And I have to love it to do it. So much snow. So much snow. But I'm going to do it anyway. This is on, oh, it's a Dimensions kit. So it came with everything. It's on kind of like a grayish Aida. Started this January 1st, 2021. We all know during the pandemic, we were all starting lots of stuff. Here we go. That's where I am. Finally getting down to the people and the clothing, and that'll be fun. Building's not as much fun. But look at that. And again, still no back stitching. That's just, I back stitch at the end because for a little extra torture. So that one's always fun to work on. It's easy to work on. Okay, next is Summer Sampler. I started this September of 2019, not too long after I discovered FLOSSTUBE. I think I discovered FLOSSTUBE the end of 2018. This is stitched on 16 count chamois. It is the called for color. And Jessie Marie Does Stuff was doing this, and I saw it, and ooh, I forgot to take this off. When I saw it, I said, oh yeah, I gotta do that. And here's where I am. No back stitching again. I think Jessie Marie back stitches as she goes, so hers looks amazing. This mess in here, fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. So many half stitches, so many random stitches in random places. But this fabric is gorgeous, gorgeous. And it's fun because it really comes alive. Like, you know, we all say this, when you're stitching it, you're not really seeing it, but that little boy and girl, I can now see very clearly in the camera. And I was not happy doing that. So, all right, moving on. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Just started this one, A Patriotic Christmas Eve. It is stitched on 20 count Vintage Country Mocha with all the called for DMCs. I saw someone doing this. Twin Peak Primitives, also brilliant. I have 3 or 4 of theirs. Isn't that just adorable? It's just adorable. And here's where I am. And I feel like the Vintage Country Mocha goes with so many things. It looks good with so many things, and you'll hear me say it a lot. But that's not that much. I mean, I didn't start it till March, and I probably worked on it, I don't know, probably 5 days total. So it moves along. Some of Twin Peak Primitives, oh boy, we got a ways to go. So just because it's out, this is my calendar. So this is what I do. I name it at the top, and you can see I just circle the dates that I worked on it. So I can always see when I pull it out how much work it got for the month, for the year, for the whatever. And I feel like that works. Next, this one. This is Pageant Kings. It was in the premiere issue of Treasures in Needlework, and this is my original copy from, oh God, how long ago was this? Very, very long time ago. I don't even know. It must say it somewhere. Whatever. It's been through a lot. But this is the issue it's in. And I think you can still get it. And this is what it looks like. Again, fiddly, fiddly, fiddly. So I'll show you where I am, and then I will tell you what my problems are. So many problems. And I'm not that far. So I started this on 16 count, Picture This Plus Mystic with all of the called for colors. I started it October 5th, 2022. The fabric is beautiful, and that is really right on color-wise. Very close. So, here comes the fiddly part. So, here, this purple, these are all long stitches. This gold in here is a cry neck. I didn't have the right cry neck. I had the number 8. Oh, no, not on 18 count. You do not want to do that. So the long stitches I hated. I put them in, the purple, I took them out. I'm just going to cross stitch them. You know, even if I need to use quarter stitch, half stitch, 3/4 to make that even line, I'll do that. I did get the cry neck number 4 fine braid, so that worked out nicely. And the other color in there is another cry neck fine braid. I mean, it's going to be stunning, but it's got a lot of specialty stitches in it. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it will be stunning. So I am, of course, staying with it. I've had that book, I've had that page marked for, I don't know, probably older than my daughter, who is 26. All right, starting to run out of room. Just pile things up on my husband's bar. He's not here. Okay, next, Long Dog Samplers Pandemic. This is literally the only one I do not have an index card for, I think, and I can't find it. You've all seen Pandemic. You've all seen this, right? I believe I started it during the pandemic, and I started it, and it was free. It was a free chart that Long Dog was offering. And I decided to do mine in this sulky thread, which is lovely. And I don't know the color. I'm probably going to be very sad because I bought enough to stitch it with one strand, didn't like it, and now I'm matching up 2 strands because it's so variegated. You have to like literally match it up. So please ignore this because, okay. So this is not dirt or anything. I put in for this, there was like a band coming down here. And I picked a DMC color because, as you could see, DMC, DMC, DMC. Like, I'm using the sulky, but then I'm complementing it with some DMC colors. This is not showing true at all. This is much more purpley. The colors, the fabric is like a gray. But anyway, I picked a DMC color, stitched this whole band. When I finished it, the last time I worked on it, I decided that I did not like it. It did not match. It was too dark of a purple. And I'm like, well, leave it for a future, Debbie. And when I'll decide when I pull it out again. And I pulled it out again last week and said, yeah, I should have not used that color. But I did. So then I pulled it all out. Hundreds of stitches. But I think I've got the color right now, so the next time it comes up, I just didn't. I usually use tape and just get all, you know, like a lint roller kind of thing, and just get all that extra floss off. So it's not dirt or any damage to the fabric. Alrighty. Now I'm starting to pile in front of me. Another Dimensions Gold. You see where I'm going here? This is because I am a girl of the 80s. And I don't know when I started this. I do know that I have the companion piece to this hanging in my, well, I normally have it hanging in my dining room in the hallway, heading into the my office, but I take it down for fall decorating and Christmas decorating. But it's the companion piece. It's the beautiful house. It looks a lot like this. I bought this at the same time, and I probably finished that one in the 90s. So I've had this a very long time, but I did not start it until recently. And it is the DMC white fabric, whatever it came with. And this is all I've got so far. I don't love stitching on a hoop. I showed you my lap stand. It doesn't hold so well when it's a hoop and not a Q-snap. So it's a little more awkward. I used to have a floor stand where everything hung like from the top. But that's 35 years old. It is also not bearing up too well. So that's where we are in that. And then I have one more, and I'm going to have to put you on hold, and hopefully I'll be back, or you'll still be there when I get back. This one is called Christmas Quilts. So I got this at Needleworkers Delight in Metuchen, New Jersey. They're no longer there. I think Jim just does like pop-up shops and whatever. It was about a 45-minute ride for me. There's also Stitch by Stitch, Cape May. I'm closer to Needleworkers Delight, I was. But it's a much easier drive to go to Cape May. And that's a great little store too. But I saw this at Needleworkers Delight hanging on the wall. In a billion years, I would have never bought this based on this photo. Never. Didn't even know it existed. Like, just had no idea. And this is by Rosewood Manor, and I love Rosewood Manor, but they need to retake that photo because that doesn't do justice. But once I saw it hanging on the wall, I was like, I need everything to go with that because I want it. It's stitched on 18 count vintage smoky white by Zweigart, all the called for colors, and I started this on September 8th, 2020. And this is where I am. I mean, I don't know if you're picking up all of these purples and blues. Right? But would you not agree that that photo does not do this justice at all? I haven't even really looked at this since I took it off the Q snap to change the Q snap for the next time it comes up. I'm like, whew, that's pretty. That's very nice. But yeah, if I had not seen it with my own eyes stitched, I wouldn't have spent the money on it. And I feel like that happens a lot. Like we see that a lot. Until you see it finished, you're like, well, yeah, that's okay. Not for me. And then you see it finished and you're like, have to have it right now. Get me everything I need for it. So, okay, so that's it for basket 1. I will be back with basket 2. Hold on a second.